10XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Trevor fires for the back of the end zone. That ball is going to be caught for the touchdown by Brian Thomas Jr. What a throw and catch. He tiptoed along the end line. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Fires deep downfield. Got a man. It's Brian Thomas Jr. 50 in the Colts territory. 35, 30, 25, 10, 5. Touchdown, Brian Thomas Jr. Just went 85 yards.
He's a playmaker. That's what stands out to me. It's just not one thing. We all know he's fast. I can't really point to his releases. Can't really point to how he comes out of his routes. He just makes plays.
Looking, steps up, fires to the back of the end zone. Brian Thomas Jr. Did he double catch it? Yes, it and touchdown. He bobbled it, but hung on. Brian Thomas Jr. has the score, and Jacksonville is taking the lead.
Yeah, he's only going to get better once he masters his craft as far as his stance off the line and as far as come off the ball. You'll see in games to come, he'll get better, and even next year, he's going to be even that much better than he is right now. Right now, he's just getting his feet wet and showing us what he can do. So I'm looking for this guy to be a big-time playmaker for us in the years to come, and I'm glad to have him part of the Jaguars.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Happy Monday to you. Jaguars Today kicking off a fresh week here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM, approximately 2.5 weeks from the NFL draft. That means, Tony, we're approximately just a little less than that from our media mock draft. Mm-hmm. Dylan Denmark needs to get on that horse and start corralling. Are you on with it? You have we made any moves in that direction yet?
Not yet.
No, I don't think so. Tomorrow we got to block it all out, man. We got to figure out what the plan of attack is. Jaguars selecting 5th. We usually like to give them a big featured amount of time. I don't know how exactly that's going to fit in with the structure of the show. It'd be easier, Tony, if they're batting leadoff once again.
Yeah.
But we got used to that for a while. Anyway, how was your weekend?
It was good.
Yeah, everything good?
Yeah.
Braves got delayed, so that's better than a loss yesterday,
yeah, they
right?
split the first 2 games in the series, so they're finally in the win column.
Much to my disappointment.
Yeah, 1-8 on the year.
Enjoying it.
Still the worst record in baseball, but, yeah, they did get the win on Friday night. And then Saturday they did what they've done all year. They didn't score Saturday in the loss. They got shut out after scoring 10 the night before, but shut out, and then the game got delayed till later in the season.
Yeah, my team threw 3 runs up in the ninth yesterday to tie it, but then lost in extras. That's a heartbreaker of a different kind right there. Denmark and I played some golf with a young friend of Dylan's who kept calling me sir all day. Bro.
How are you doing, sir?
I know. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. And I told him, I just gave up because he's one of those people. Very nice, very polite, man. When I'm on the course, Dylan, I'm not your dad out there, for goodness sakes, man. But Denmark, are you fired up about your Gators tonight?
Oh, yeah. 8:50 tip. I might have to take a nap for
So what's the programming schedule here tonight?
Baloo's on, and then we're going to carry the Gator game on the FM and the AM. So no Hacker show tonight.
Double
Hacker's
dipping.
Filling in for Frangie because Frangie's at the Gator game. So Hayes and Hacker on the Frangie show, and then Baloo. And then it's the Gator game on both FM and the AM.
Excellent. All right, there you have it. Your best laid plans. By the way, I don't think they have much of a chance now that they've gotten here. I did pick Houston to win it, though. So I'm going to act, if they win, like I knew what I was talking about. Just be prepared for this, Tony, all right? Yeah. This college basketball stuff is simple. Are you kidding me?
Just take all the ones, obviously.
Of course, just take all the ones. You got to get the correct
strategy
one.
this year. Take the ones.
My wife goes, what's Houston's mascot? And I said, what do you think it is? Take a guess. Because she's usually pretty decent at these kind of things. Never heard it. Swears the Houston Cougars are a new thing. She goes, it's a new team? Like, it's a university. Right? They've been around for a while. It's not like an expansion school or anything like that. So I'll watch if things are going in the direction I want them to up to that point. I told Dylan I almost took Gators on the money line at halftime. getting on the Hard Rock Bet there. I didn't watch the first half. I forgot kind of it was on. I was watching the Yankees earlier. And
too, I forgot.
Right, and it's not your team. That's fine, whatever. And I know Gator fans are on the edge of their seats right now, as you should be with your school.
Absolutely.
And they're down 8 at the half, and I'm like, I'll probably get some pretty good odds on this right now because they've been doing this, getting behind a little bit and coming back. Anyway, all that's coming up tonight. Today, we'll talk some Jaguar football with you with the draft rapidly approaching. We missed a mock that came out on Friday morning telling they had the Jags trading down. One of the rare ones that saw the Jags trading down. So we'll get into that a little bit today. But, along with all these, we talked about some of the rules changes, things that were proposed at the owners' meetings. And one of those that got tabled is a proposal by the Detroit Lions to seed the playoffs based simply on record. In other words, at the end of the year, they're playing Minnesota. And had they had lost that game, they could have ended up as a wild card team and gone on the road, despite being a 14, 15 win team, whatever they would have ended up at that point in time. And so they made some comments about it at the time. And apparently Troy Vincent in the league's office reached out to them and said, hey, why don't you propose this? And there's a whole write-up on this on PFT, and I get people's opinions on PFT. And, it's understandable, right? Because they do.
They're going to say something nasty about everybody.
That will get under your skin, and deservedly so, right? But in this case, what they're saying is the NFL's trying to push an agenda and make it seem like it's bottom up, like it's just a naturally occurring thing. Like, oh, look, the Lions proposed this. Let's consider this. No, the league actually reaching out and say, hey, why don't you propose this? Because even if we don't get this is what Goodell wants, the direction Goodell wants it to go in. And even if we don't get the final proposal exactly that way, we'll get maybe a step in that direction, where instead of proposing that step and people say, I'm not sure I want to change, you propose something more radical, and it's easier to accept something in the middle, and now you've moved the goalposts. And what we're talking about is Detroit proposed Dylan, I don't know what you're doing with that, because I've seen this little cartoon. Like, I don't know if anybody saw that. Dylan had a screen up on where we usually can see ourselves.
Never seen this.
You've never seen this cartoon? Like the guy who's on the RV and he's going to jump into a pool that's on the RV, and why doesn't he fly off the back of the RV, right? Oh, well, you ever jump up while you're on an airplane? Probably not. But if you did, you don't hit the back wall of the airplane.
Correct.
Okay? You're moving.
Still have the momentum.
You're moving at the same relative speed as the vehicle. Anyway, Dylan put that up there, and it caught my eye because I just seen that this weekend. But anyway, the proposal by the Lions, I'm easily distracting people. All right? If you haven't figured that out yet, there's great evidence of it. All right? But what they said is you'll still make the playoffs if you win your division.
That's nice of them.
Isn't that nice, right? Yeah. Here's a nice pat on the head. But we're going to reseed the playoffs, or we're going to seed the playoffs based on record. In other words, if you win your division with 10 wins, some wild card team is in with 11, they're going to get the home game over you.
Which is what would have happened in 22. The Jags had one less win than the Chargers on that season, but they won the division, so they were hosting that playoff game.
Correct. Would have been on the road.
Would have been on the road.
Absolutely, as a for instance. Yeah. And did it matter? Now, wouldn't have mattered if Trevor Lawrence kept throwing interceptions where they were playing that game, but could they have pulled that comeback off on the road? I don't know.
A lot less likely.
And from the Chargers' perspective, they're like, well, they shouldn't have had that opportunity or should have been forced to do it on the road. From that could be their perspective. So today we're just asking you, do you like the way things are, the status quo? In other words, you win your division, you're going to be guaranteed a home game, at minimum one, as one of the top 4 seeds, and that seed never changes. Or do you want to reseed the playoffs? Do you think it's more equitable, more fair to reseed just based on record? Or are you not kind of sure? Because there are other things that you might not think of along the way that could impact these things. Look, if you're going to me, put somebody in because they win their division, and you're not going to give them a higher seed, like, why put them in automatically then? Why even have divisions?
Yeah.
If you're going to go that route. But that's something we can get into
no doubt
a little bit today. Last week, Dave Weidel expressed his opinion. I'm sure as a former Jaguar, you're aware of this, that doesn't think Mason Graham's worth the pick at 5. I wonder if we're going to get into that stretch now I'm not saying Dave, but a lot of us, I am sick of seeing Mason Graham in a mock draft to the Jags.
Sure.
Just because I like to see some different ideas of, that's interesting. How might this work? Again, to me, I'm not a scout. I'm not sitting there evaluating like Gladstone and company. If they feel like he's the best player available and fits a need for this team, so be it. I'm going to be on board with it until proven otherwise. But I do get a little bit of that again with Mason Graham. So I'm looking now. So are we going to get to the point now where we're saturated with the idea of Mason Graham that all we're going to do is pick him apart over the next 2 weeks as to why this is not the best selection for Jacksonville?
I think we've reached that point in the draft
Possibly
process.
So. We're already saturated with it, right?
And I'm not saying that even I, as someone who's been very okay with the Mason Graham idea for a couple of months now, essentially. They're at number 5 for the team. I'm not saying that even I, when I'm going through the mental gymnastics of putting these things together, I'm not going, do I really want to see this again? Am I really that sure that that's the way the team is thinking about this kind of thing? We talked about it a little bit on Friday. I'm leaning more towards them taking an offensive lineman there than I had been previously. Like, it's just,
I'm in favor of it.
Right. Like, it's where I'm leaning right now in my mind is.
You're leaning, you think that's what I
think is going to happen, is them taking offensive linemen. That's where I would lean right now with what's going to happen with the team. But we'll see. We only have to wait 2.5 weeks now to find out, but we'll keep kicking it around.
I mean, that's all we've got, right? I mean, that's the major thing that we've got is we're building towards it here.
But Graham's not the first to do that. Everyone did it with Bosa.
No doubt about it.
I don't want to Joey Bosa. Boring.
You get to a point where you're just tired of seeing the same thing over and over. I mean, I won't speak for everybody. I'm at that point already with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Mason Graham. We do have some multi-round mocks that are fresh out there, so we'll take a look at those today as well and discuss the potential changing of the playoff landscape as it goes along. If you want to be part of any kind of Jaguar conversation, we welcome you at 641-1010 on the phone line. Same number for the text line. Designed by Lifetime Enclosures. You can hit us up in the YouTube virtual studio chat. Post your thoughts and or questions there or on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, baby.
Johnny O's going to stop by this morning at about 10:35. John Oehser from Jaguars.com. Haven't spoken with him this offseason. We'll get his thoughts on the changes for the Jaguars organization, his conversation with James Gladstone last week, and his impressions of the job that Gladstone and Cohen are off to. It's kind of hard to know, right? Like, there's a lot of positivity because they haven't had, all right, we hired these coaches until we see what the results of what they produce are. We don't know how good this coaching staff is. We have some thoughts on some guys, but we'll see what John's perspective is on a lot of Jaguar offseason issues. All that and more coming your way. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today. You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Superior products, exceptional service. Sports sounds better on radio.
I love it. I love it.
You get the most live sports on 1010XL. 1010XL's draft previews are brought to you by Hurricane Grill and Wings.
Mason Graham from Michigan has been a player many have connected to Jacksonville in this year's draft. Graham provides activity, effort, strength, and quickness, with the first step that makes the defensive tackle's interior disruption inevitable. And although he doesn't have the freakish size, length, or athleticism that others might offer, he is tough, consistent, and productive. And that's what the teal and black need inside.
Get a healthy start in 2025. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to encourage you to get healthy and stay healthy this year. They have a dedicated team who are committed to providing quality care. The goal is to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Visit duval.floridahealth.gov to learn more about their health programs and services. That's duval.floridahealth.gov.
Hey, this is Coach Jason Gibson of your Jacksonville Sharks. I know the importance of a strong game plan, and that's exactly what I've got with Clay Solar Installation Partners. They did the install of the solar panels at my house, and I couldn't be happier. Lower energy bills, clean power, and a winning team that made the whole process easy. If you're looking to save money and go solar, trust the pros at Clay Solar. Call Karen at Clay Solar today and tell them that Coach Gibson sent you.
Dreamfinders Homes Monday.
Jaguars Today.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Go inside your home team's locker room with Jags beat reporter Hayes Carline.
Check out my blog at 1010XL.com
so you can catch all the news and nuggets you need to know.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reese Plumbing,
where quality and experience count.
It's game time for your business, and Advanced Business Solutions has the winning play. With Xerox copiers, you'll never miss a deadline. Fast, reliable, and built for high performance, Xerox copiers keep your team ahead of the competition. From printing to scanning, Xerox brings the MVPs of efficiency to your office. Ready to make the winning move? Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions. Veteran owned.
Printers, copiers, and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
Right now, they're on their way to disrupt your life, make you uncomfortable, and rob you. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. That's right. Summer heat and humidity are about to attack North Florida again. You know what to do. Call Mike Merritt. Mike Merritt's Heating and Air has a license to chill. When heat and humidity are attacking you, Mike Merritt provides a comfortable chill at a bargain price. Mike has been keeping North Florida comfortable for 30 years. Mike Merritt technicians are never paid commissions, meaning you'll never be pressured to buy something you don't need. And Mike Merritt knows cooling issues can arise anytime. They don't just happen during business hours. So Mike Merritt never charges overtime fees. When you need us, we're here for you. Remember, in the fight against heat and humidity, Mike Merritt has a license to chill. Visit merrittair.com. Florida license number CACO 50384.
Surf in the Summer Surf Camp is now registering for camps this summer. Get your kids out to the beach this summer. For registration and session dates, log on to surfinthesummer.com. Surf in the Summer, Jacksonville Beach's premier surf camp.
There's a lot on the line in a divorce. Your home, savings, maybe even your kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions it can take, you need a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Don't let divorce take more than it has to.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold and silver and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at almost $3,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar or trade it in for a new piece and get even more value at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Parents, now is the time to sign your kids up for the best basketball league in the 904. Tommy Houlihan's Summer Beaches Basketball League. Season starts in June, and games will be played in the St. Paul's Gym. Go to TommyHoulihanBasketball.com for all the info.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Thought Tony Pauline might be coming on for a
I was
second
looking
right
at the phone lines. I was like, did we get him on? And I didn't know.
Is he here? I don't know. Maybe Wednesday. What is our rotation with Pauline looking like?
We can get him or Chad.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know. Chad Ryder's got a new, I think, a 5-round mock he put out on Friday. Something like that. Just looking ahead to Wednesday. We got to come up with our Tuesday top 5 as well. But before we get to it, we've heard many stories over the years of why things went the way they did, and sometimes they're hard to believe and sometimes they're not, and people make crazy decisions based on all kinds of outside influences. So Dylan, you frequent a local establishment where they know that you're Dylan Denmark draft soothsayer,
yes.
right? So
they think I'm an expert and I'm not.
Yes. I mean, well, you work for 1010XL. You must be an expert, obviously, in all things sports. And so apparently this same establishment is one that used to be frequented by former Jaguar general manager Gene Smith. Is that correct?
Correct. That's what he told me.
All right. So tell us this little story that you came across. Dylan just popped up this morning. He goes, man, let me tell you why I heard the Jags took Brian Anger. All right. Well, tell us why, according to this local establishment that Gene Smith used to frequent, did the Jags take Brian Anger?
So in the 2012 draft, the Jags had the 7th pick, and they traded up to 5 with the Bucks. So they gave up. They went up 2 spots, and they had to give up a 4th-round pick.
Okay.
So,
which, by the way, is pretty fair,
right?
Draft compensation.
So they got Justin Blackmon 1st round. They got the DN from Clemson, Andre Branch, and they didn't have a 4th. Yeah, they didn't have a 4th-round pick. And he told me that that the Jags picked Brian Anger in the 3rd round because he was told that the Titans were going to select him. And that was, I'm like, okay.
So because the Titans were ready to do something dumb, we thought we'd beat them to the punch?
I guess so.
Seems like play, yeah.
I mean, look, Brian Anger's, to this day, a good punter in the National Football League, right? Still going, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Dallas, yeah.
Exactly. Not here, because, I mean, he was going to forever be the guy that we took. And maybe if Russell Wilson doesn't become an immediate sensation, right? Like Russell Wilson came into that camp after they had signed Matt Flynn in Seattle to be the starting quarterback based on that big, we mentioned him last week. I think Dylan brought him up. That 6-touchdown game that he had for Green Bay against Detroit, if I'm not mistaken, caught everybody's eye late in the season. And he got signed to, at the time, a big starter money. Let's put it that way. But it was like, what was it, like $30 million total package, something like that, 31 million, whatever it was. And Russell Wilson kept outplaying him in the preseason, in practice, in the games, and they couldn't deny it any longer. If Russell Wilson doesn't become the starting quarterback right away, and then, of course, lead Seattle to its greatest period in history, maybe it's not seen as such a bad thing, but the Jags had such bad luck with quarterbacks that to take a punter there, Tony, and basically I remember Gene Smith at the time saying, well, he's a starter.
Yeah.
Because, we don't have a need for a starter anywhere else. Man, look.
Ouch.
Your 4th pass rusher might be more valuable than your punter. That's, that's
the reality.
Apologies, right, to the current specialists we have here are very, very good at what they do.
They are.
But they're usually not nearly as coveted as much. All right, so that's interesting. I wonder how Gene Smith knew Tennessee was. I mean, you think about these things. Like, where do you hear that from? A mock draft somewhere? Like, who's telling him? I mean, you would know that, I guess. That's why maybe the Jags don't do these top 30 visits. Right, that you don't want to tip your hand, but you see the pass rusher this weekend. I forget who he was. Who mentioned SI did a little write up on it. He mentioned like 6 teams that he's had Zoom meetings with. Okay, we may not bring you in for a top 30 visit, but
talk to him.
We talk to these guys. I'm sure they're talking to guys out there. I'm sure the Jags are not happy that anybody knows who they're talking to right now. Probably nobody is, but that's not that player's concern, right? No. He's trying to create a market for himself. Like, look at all these teams that are interested in me. If you want me, maybe you need to take me a little bit higher. So, competing interest there. I've never heard that particular.
No, that's new.
Gene Smith took Brian Anger for that specific reason. By the way, as I was looking through the 2012 NFL draft, which that was, on Pro Football Reference, Janoris Jenkins, we know his nickname, right? Jack Rabbit. Right, of course. They actually list him now. If you go to his Pro Football Reference page, it's Jack Rabbit Jenkins. Like, was it that ubiquitous that everybody, like, every minute was calling him Jack Rabbit? Like,
no, I don't remember that. Because he played for the Gators for a couple of years before he got kicked out. Went to one of those I think it was North Alabama.
Okay.
It was like he just put on his Instagram.
He did play at North Alabama, yes. Yeah.
Second round pick. Should have been first round, but with his
he's a good player.
Issues, yeah.
He made one Pro Bowl in his career, but like I get it. I've heard people call him Jack Rabbit, right? But not to the point where it basically replaced his name like that.
Yeah.
Who else we got? Think of a player whose name Tank Bigsby, right?
Tank, yeah.
I mean, there
I bet
are.
it's in there as Tank, yeah.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure it's absolutely in there. Cartavius Bigsby, a.k.a. Tank, but Tank Bigsby. Like, I've never heard anyone call him anything but Tank Bigsby.
No.
Is kind of the point. So what else would you refer to him as? I don't know. Just a little Jaguar trivia from over the years with the Janoris Jenkins thing being the end point of this whole thing somehow.
Was Blake Bortles one of those two? Was Blake his first name? Yeah, it was. I'm thinking there's somebody in my head. I just looked at it. It was. There was somebody where that kind of thing went on.
Willie T?
I don't know.
William Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, it could be that.
Willie T?
Yeah, it could be that. Yeah.
Could have been him. Blake is...
Which is not a nickname. Like, Trevor's not a nickname. It's his middle name.
No, it's his middle name.
Yeah.
That's what he goes by, and plenty of people go by their middle name.
Yeah.
Whatever the case. But I was just surprised. I'm like, wow, Jack Rabbit Jenkins.
That it just gets in there
It's
officially.
that prominent right now.
Chad
Right.
Johnson,
like that's his official name. They don't. It's not Ocho Cinco Johnson or Ocho Cinco.
Chad officially changed the name. Like, he was like, this is what you're going to call me. My name is now Ocho Cinco. I'm having it legally done. Right? Like, that's how far he went with it.
On his Pro Football Reference page, he's still listed as Chad Johnson. Is his legal name Ocho Cinco Johnson?
I thought he changed it to Ocho Cinco.
Huh. It just Chad Javon Johnson in parentheses Ocho Cinco. But anyway.
Julio Jones' real name is Quintorius?
Yeah. But I bet they don't list him as Quintorius Jones, right?
No.
They list him as Julio.
Wikipedia.
He just retired.
Oh, he flip-flopped it. Chad Johnson did legally change it for 5 years, then went back.
He went back to Chad?
Yeah, Johnson, yeah.
All right, so maybe it was Ocho Cinco listed on there for that time period. Hard to say. All right, we got Johnny O coming up next. Let's have a little palate cleanser right here, and we'll come back and dig into John's impressions of the offseason, the plan, building out the infrastructure of the front office, coaching staff, et cetera, and how they've gone about their business in the intervening weeks there, and what John would like to see for this team for the NFL draft coming up in about 2.5 weeks now. We'll get to that coming up next. You're listening to Jaguars Today. Keep it right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Getting you ready every day.
You ready, champ? I'm ready for this my whole life.
Get ready.
This is the most important game of your life. No excuses. Do the work.
With 1010XL.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080. Spring is in the air. Time to wake up your lawn with Heroes Lawn Care. Say goodbye to pesky mosquitoes with their organic and spray treatments. Perfect for outdoor fun. Keep your lawn clean and fresh with their pet waste removal for homes and businesses. Heroes Lawn Care takes care of it all. From mowing, edging, fertilizer, to irrigation, and much more. Visit heroeslawncare.com.
Homeowners, storms don't wait, so why should you? Universal Roof and Contracting protects your home and your wallet. Invest in a stronger roof and save big. Right now, get 15% off roof replacement and repairs. Financing's available with monthly payments as low as $115. But this deal ends April 30th. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roof and Contracting. Protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
It's a Dreamfinders Homes Monday.
Official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Transmission troubles? I'm Robin Sidbury, owner of Action Transmission Specialist on Merrill Road. So come in and see how we can help solve your transmission troubles. We service all makes and models. Remember, get traction. Call Action at 744-0755.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey man, what's that noise?
Do you hear it too? You can hear it, right?
Yeah, it's your air conditioner. It's like a grinding or a rattling.
And it's getting on your nerves, right? Like it's eating at your brain and you can't think straight? But it just keeps grinding and squeaking and taunting and nagging. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Why can't you be more like your sister, the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't hear that last part so much.
Yeah, but it's not cool, right, Jason?
It could definitely be cooler. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can totally repair whatever that noise is and get your AC working smoothly and silently. We fix these things all the time.
So I won't be a failure?
Life should be enjoyed. If some irritating, broken air conditioner is making you crazy, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
1010XL covers every angle of the draft.
That is what I do.
Listen for draft previews brought to you by Hurricane Grill and Wings and Big Brothers Big Sisters. Roll through the offseason with AA Automotive and 1010XL.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to itppartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
Your yard starting to look a little like a jungle? Well, it might be time for a little TLC. Or how about RTC, Russell Tree Care? At Russell Tree Care, they give your trees the perfect haircut. Whether it's trimming or removing, they'll make sure your yard looks its best, all while keeping safety as a top priority. Call Russell Tree Care today and let them take care of your trees. Russell Tree Care, 844-4Mr. Wood. That's 844-467-9663. Or visit RussellTreeCareLLC.com today. Your trees will thank you.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our heroes at Zero Res. This month, get Zero Resified from Jacksonville's #1 carpet cleaner. You'll get 25% off all cleaning services. That's right, 25% off. Check out 8,000 raving customer reviews if you don't believe me online. Call them, 904-287-5727, or visit their website, ZeroResJacksonville.com. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
1010 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. It's time for Oh No's with Jaguars.com's John Oehser. Oh No's. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Served up by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
We haven't found out what Oh No's in a while, Tony. Before we do, let me just say to the person who suggested, and we're talking about people whose nicknames you know more than their actual name in football, like Pac-Man Jones. Somebody put it on the text line. Excellent, right? Like, I know his name happens to be Adam, but I bet there are a lot of football fans that don't know his name is Adam, and he's still listed as Adam Jones on Pro Football Reference. It's odd that Janoris Jenkins is officially listed as Jackrabbit Jenkins. I don't know. Just strange to me. Johnny O, what is John Oehser's nickname coming up? John, good morning. How are you?
Well, I think I'm going with Jackrabbit now.
Jackrabbit. It's taken.
The thing, right?
It's taken now. Did you have a nickname when you were a kid, like that your mom called you, or what?
Well, my grandmother, starting out when I was like 2 or 3, called me Jump, which didn't really translate to my basketball skills. But when I was playing basketball, people called me Doc very sarcastically because it was in the doctor's days. So most of my nicknames, Ozone is probably the one that has stuck the most, to be honest with you.
Yes, the rest have come heavily dripped in irony, apparently. John? All right. Well, let's get into the Jags off season here, okay? And just give us your thoughts on overview. We haven't talked to you in a while, and a lot has changed since then with the coaching staff, front office, Baselli as the EVP. Had some stops and starts to get there. Just in terms of what they ended up with and what they put together and what you're seeing them do right now, do you feel confident that the decisions they've made have been good ones so far this offseason?
Yeah, I do. I'll couch this by saying, us three have been doing this show in some capacity for a long time. We've been through changes. And we've always talked optimistically about it. So I get that what I'm about to say is going to get some eye roll from people. But there's an awful lot to like and feel confident about, to me, with, starting with Tony, who I kid around a lot in the ozone and on the air about Tony, but I couldn't respect him more for the position that he holds, for his decision-making, for his leadership. All of that stuff, he's high end. This is not the left tackle goofball that is on Pete Prisco's show on Mondays, right? I mean, I have utmost confidence in him. And I'll tell you what, I really like Liam Cohen, but I am uber impressed with James Gladstone so far. I've come to the belief that general manager, that element, if it's not right, if the building doesn't know the direction, then you're in trouble. And James Gladstone's communication, his intelligence, his leadership, I've only been around it for a month, but I am really impressed. And there's all sorts of holes that somebody, if they're debating me, could poke holes in it. Well, you haven't seen it yet and all that. I get that. But I do feel good about the direction, and we'll just see where it goes.
Along those kind of lines, John, what most made you feel that way coming out of the conversation that you had the opportunity to have with James Gladstone last week?
Yeah, it's not so much just that conversation. That was just sort of, I felt like the same conversation I had with him at the Combine, and in just a couple of different environments. And it maybe more than the conversation I had with him, I had Les Snead on the Ozone podcast last week, and what he was talking about with his impressions when he was talking to Tony during the process, right? And his belief in James Gladstone and what he had seen with him in the Rams for 9 years, sort of piggybacking on what we've all seen when he has spoken to the media. I think just the communication and the ability to, have, I keep using this analogy, for the assistant wide receivers coach to speak the same language as the West Coast scout in what they're looking for from players and what they're doing organizationally. That's so important. And James Gladstone's communication and his ability to organize and have people thinking the same thoughts across the organization, I think it's going to be pretty high end. And that's not very exciting stuff to talk about on the radio because it's not touchdowns and 40 times. But I think organizationally, if you're asking me why I believe it's going in the right direction, that's a big part of it.
John, what did you personally feel about the decisions to move on from Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram?
Yeah, I think you had to in this sense. I really liked both of those guys. They're two of the favorite guys I've covered in a long, long time, and I wish they were here. But I think when you're looking at their production last season, even when healthy, and combined with the fact that neither finished the season healthy and that Christian hasn't finished the last two, I think they looked at it and said, we're building and we're moving forward, and those guys sort of had started to feel like the past. So if they were going to be the players they had been in 22 and part of 23, I think maybe the decision's different. But I think just, analytically, players usually don't get healthier and better as they get older. So I think that played a lot into it. I wished it hadn't happened, but I think they had to do it.
Do you think they did, enough along the offensive line and free agency to be competitive, even if they don't add another body to that group in the draft as far as competing for the AFC South?
Yeah, I think Liam Cohen said that best last week. I think it's wait and see. I think they believe they did. I think they believe they're nastier and more physical on the interior, which to me, if they just get marginally better there, then I think you're a lot better. I wish I had incredible confidence. I haven't seen it yet. I know they believe it. I know they weren't splash names. I guess I'm couching my answer because I've sat here so many off seasons said, I love these moves. These were not high-profile moves. They feel to me like moves to get you through a couple of years until you draft guys who you believe are your guys. But I think they think they're marginally better. I think if they're marginally better, you can be a lot better because they weren't far off a lot of times last year. Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? If they can win a larger percentage of those one-score games, that's where their greatest improvement in their record is likely to come from. But, John, when you start to look at the fifth pick in the draft, right, offensive line may be, we don't know what their board looks like, but the highest graded player could be an offensive lineman there, or maybe they get an offer to move back, and that could be the case if they move back a few spots as well. They didn't sign Walker Little to that extension. They didn't draft Anton Harrison. I think, feel that, okay, at least we know who the tackles are going to be. We know Ezra Cleveland is going to be the left guard, and then they sign these other couple of guys. How do you think? It's hard to know, right? I'm not saying you should know, but what is your suspicion as to whether they like what they have right now with the incumbents on the offensive line? I think usually when coaches and GMs talk in April about competition in camp, I think usually it means nothing. I think this year it means a lot is probably the best way of saying it. I don't think anybody, maybe Anton Harrison's guaranteed a starting spot, but I don't necessarily think he should be going into camp thinking that. This is a very long-winded way of saying I don't know if Walker Little starts. I would guess, if I was a betting man, I would guess that it's Little, the two signings, Cleveland, and Anton Harrison. But if you told me that one of those guys was not going to be starting out of those three returning, it wouldn't shock me at all. I don't know which one, but I think there's a real feeling this year in the building. These guys have to earn it. Nobody's earned anything yet on this offensive line. And that's understandable, right? But let's say they, going down the hypothetical road here, they take Will Campbell or Armand Membo, right? And they'll obviously have a plan in mind
You would hope, right, that we're taking this guy to compete specifically against this other guy. You would hope, right? But if you're taking a guy at number 5, John, first pick of the regime, you can presume that guy is going to have a leg up in any competition. Do you think we could see something like maybe if they went that route, maybe they could flip Walker Little for a pick or two during this year's NFL draft?
Yeah, that would surprise me. I wouldn't rule it out. I don't expect them to go offensive line at number 5, but that's just my opinion. So, I don't know that it's going to be a draft pick, but in your scenario, that would make sense. I don't think that happens to Anton Harrison because I think he's shown quite a bit. I think Walker Little, again, so far he has had a lot of situations where he's competed in training camp and really hasn't, won jobs.
No.
So I do think there is an element of we've got to see what these guys can do. There's a lot of prove it to be done, but if they would draft a guy with that, it would surprise me, not shock me, I guess is the best way to put it.
John, this is something we've kicked around here at the station for the last week or so. Who was under more pressure going into this season between Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence?
I would think Trevor because because he's been here and Liam Cohen hasn't, and there's a little bit of when you're the new guy, you get a little bit of a wait and see. Maybe that's just my instinct to the question. There's always pressure on both. But yeah, I think Trevor's under some pressure. I mean, look, he's going into year 5. They believe in him, but it's not like he's been great. Even last year when he was healthy, he wasn't great. So, yeah, going into year 5 and you signed that contract last year, I think there's more pressure on Trevor than maybe anybody else in the organization. He's the quarterback.
Oh, no question about it. And, we talked about Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk not being available. Brian Thomas Jr. returns. We hope for great things from him. Who's the next most important weapon currently in the passing game on this roster?
After BTJ?
Yeah.
BTJ.
That's what it feels like, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably Brown, who I think they expect a lot more out of than maybe people and his performance in the past. Britton Strange. But, yeah, I mean, I think if there was a receiver at 5 that was a little more of a, quote, can't miss Marvin Harrison Jr. type, I think that would be a route. I mean, I think they absolutely think that they need one more receiver in this rotation. I think somebody in the first 3 rounds will be drafted at receiver with the expectation he's going to play a lot, and they're going to want something out of him. So I think receiver I'm answering your question by not really knowing who the next guy is, but I think that's to your point. They need more there, I think, and I think they're going to need more out of a rookie.
Liam Cohen mentioned last week that they have had conversations with Trayvon Walker here over the course of this offseason to this point. What are the chances you think that the team gets an extension done with Trayvon Walker this offseason?
Yeah, I don't know if they're necessarily thinking that they have to get that done this offseason. I don't think they're going to be locked in. Trent Baalke had the thing where he didn't really negotiate with players until he negotiated with Walker Little, right? So that was sort of a thing. I don't think I think if they could easily go into the season saying, hey, they really like Trayvon, really, really like him. But it's also a new regime, a new situation. It's entirely feasible, and an agent doesn't hear like nails on a chalkboard when a team tells them, hey, we're going to let this settle, see how everything meshes with the newness, and then when we know it's going to work, which we think it will, we're going to come back and negotiate. So I don't think it happens this offseason. That's just my gut. But I think it could happen by the end of the season or very early next offseason.
All right, so you don't think wide receiver is likely at 5. I think that probably presumes that Travis Hunter is not available. Like, if anyone could be available, let's presume Cam Ward goes to Tennessee. Give us the 4 players you would like to hear their name called. Now, 3 of them could come off the board, obviously, with the next 3 picks. But how do you see the board favoring the Jaguars with pick 5 right now?
Well, if Abdul Carter could slide, only because I think he's me personally, everything you're hearing is that Hunter and Carter are the 2 best players in the draft. So I'm more of a believer in, if I'm up high, I want the edge rusher. I want the guy who's going to impact the ball over the wide receiver or the corner. That's my personal preference. So I would go Carter over Hunter. I think those 2 guys would be the guys they would love to see there. And then after that, everybody's mocking Mason Graham. I don't think he's necessarily a lock if he's there. I think they're still trying to figure out a lot. And they're not really saying this per se, but everybody who's saying it's a tough spot at 5, it is a tough spot at 5 because there's 2 great players in the draft, maybe 2 quarterbacks, and then you're at 5. So I think that storyline's real, and I think along those lines, I think there's going to be a lot of discussions in the building over the next month.
All right, so
3 weeks. It's coming up faster than that.
It is. All right, so who's the wild card for you then? If you're not sure they're in on Mason Graham, you don't think it's going to be offensive line. Could they look at Ashton Genty? Could they look at Jalen Walker? I'm talking about if they can't trade back, right? And if they are picking at 5, is there a wild card player, Tyler Warren or anybody else that you think we should at least be thinking about at 5?
Yeah, I would. If I'm a Jags fan analyzing this, I would not rule out any of the names you mentioned because and I still think I think Mason Graham's chalk, but as of right now, if I had to guess, I'd say they go Mason Graham. But I don't necessarily think they're running the card to the table right now with knowing that's the case. I think there's a lot of discussions to be had for it. But I think all three of the names you mentioned, I would phrase it like this. I think at number 5, they feel like their depth chart is set after free agency. They will go with the guy that they feel is the most special and not worry about position.
Beyond that, let's talk a little bit about positions, though, before we let you go, John. What do you view as the team's biggest position needs heading into the draft?
Well, I say wide receiver, and then I think corner as well. I don't necessarily think that they think they're set at either of those spots. They feel like they can line up, but can they get better at corner, safety, and wide receiver? I would be surprised if those positions aren't going to the Jaguars sometime in the first 4 rounds, somewhere in there, because I think they feel like they need that. And then defensive line and offensive line. I mean, I think those are the places where they want to build. But if you're saying needs, I think wide receiver, corner, and safety.
I would tend to agree. Certainly wide receiver and safety, very high on my list. I think they'll add to corner. I think they're better. If they lined up today, I think they're better at corner than they are at the other 2 spots, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but,
I agree.
That doesn't mean it's not a need. I understand, I
don't necessarily think that it's a lock that Jarian moves out or Jarian moves out to outside. So I think they feel like, again, so much of it is about who they think has the most potential. They want greatness in those first 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah, we just don't know. I'm
Sure.
fascinated to know what they think of Mason Smith. Is he a diamond in the rough or is he a wasted second-round pick? And that will obviously.
From what I hear, they like him.
They do? All right.
Yeah, from what I hear, they like him. But so much of it is how's it going to fit in this system, and they've got to see what they've got in these guys. It's a new regime. Everything we've seen, they want to see for themselves. It's probably the best way to put it.
All right, John. Well, we appreciate you swinging by here to talk a little off-season here with us. We'll probably try to bring you back in sometime after the draft and evaluate how James Gladstone and company do with their first option or opportunity to make some of those selections. And what you got cooking for the next couple of weeks?
Well, leading up to the draft, I anticipate some media availability sometime in the next couple of weeks in terms of the players coming back and being in the building. So we'll be writing off that and talking about that. And I would recommend people who haven't heard the Ozone podcast with Les Snead. I usually don't push specific things a whole lot, But what he had to say about the Jaguars organization, he knows everybody leading it fairly well. I would go back and listen to that if I were people. It was pretty cool stuff from the owners' meeting.
All right, excellent. Johnny O, I guess that's what we'll go with, the O-Zone right there. And Jump Oehser, and Doc Oehser. Those are two ones I'll slip in from time to time over the next few years. John, thanks. All the best, man, until we catch up again.
Guys, look forward to it. Thank you.
All right, buddy. We appreciate it. You can find John, of course, on social media at his name and at Jaguars.com. So pick apart a few things he had to say. Tony will take us around the league. People continue to give us submissions of people that are better known for their nickname than their actual name. And there are many of them, but it's more like, what is the bar that gets them to be listed as that at Pro Football Reference? And like, you would think Pac-Man Jones, simple, right? Somebody brought up Refrigerator Perry, but he's listed as William Perry. Cadillac Williams, there's one that is actually listed as Cadillac Williams. Carnell Lamar Williams. Anyway, of interest to no one but me, but that's the guy who's talking at the moment. All right, we'll come back. We got some mocks to dig into. Thanks to John Oehser for joining us. Tony will take us around the league next as well. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Andersen Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Now, another classic moment in Jags history.
The offensive line developing into a good one, and Tony Baselli, a star. He is imposing. Coleman, Wydell, Tilsky, Searcy, who was in the Super Bowl with the Steelers last year.
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Spring and summer are coming. Will your pool deck be ready? Don't Slip Deck Coatings of Jacksonville has you covered. Their multi-layered slip-resistant coatings come in a variety of colors, adding safety, durability, and style to your outdoor spaces. Plus, they offer slip-resistant solutions for inside your home, too. Long-lasting, affordable, and built to protect your family. Don't wait. Call today for a free quote, 904-466-1839, and follow Don't Slip Jacks on Facebook and Instagram.
Summer in Jacksonville is coming in hot. Lauren Brooks here. Beat the heat with Turbo Tint. Their window tint blocks up to 99% of harmful UV rays and keeps your ride cool and comfortable. Book today at turbotint.com.
Your home is more than walls and a roof. It's where you breathe, drink, and power through life. At Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to keep it all running smoothly. From clean, cool air to clean water, reliable power to expert plumbing, we do it all. For over 35 years, families have trusted Donovan to make their homes healthier, safer, and more comfortable. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing today, 904-270-COOL, where health meets home.
Jaguars Today.
It's a Dream Finders Homes Monday.
If you're heading to the Og or you're already part of the nation's oldest, don't forget to drop into Sunset Grill. For over 30 years, serving up great chowder, seafood, wings, and cold beer. Sunset Grill, somewhere on A1A, St. Augustine Beach.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppables, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I love it. You shouldn't have, but I'm glad you did.
The love that a little box from Beard's Diamonds can hold is something that those big box jewelry stores can't understand. As Town Center's only locally owned jeweler with international connections, Beard's Diamonds knows that our little boxes are full of promises, celebrations, milestones, and magic. Big box jewelers only have big overhead and big markups, but Beard's Diamonds sees the big picture of the little box. That's why you can look to us for a great selection of dazzling diamonds and designer jewelry, and a listen-first approach to helping you turn what's in a little box into a big part of your special someone's life. Come experience the local, loyal, and helpful difference of Beard's Diamonds in Town Center. When it comes to helping you celebrate with beautiful jewelry, Beard's Diamonds thinks outside the big box stores. And that makes a big difference. Beard's Diamonds at the St. John's Town Center.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Visit sjmsaa.com. sjmsaa.com.
Friendly competition meets great futures. It's the Birdies and Bounces Tournament presented by the Mackenzie Noel Wilson Foundation Friday, May 9th at the Yards. Where else can a pickleball tournament, 15 holes of golf, food, fun, beverages, raffles, and great activities help a worthy organization like the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida, where 59 clubs serve nearly 6,000 youth daily. For tickets and team registration, email Charlie C. at bgcnf.org.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS right here in Jacksonville is the only hair transplant clinic in the country that offers multi-unit hair grafting, FUE NeoGraft hair transplants, and the 45-minute effective PRP treatments.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
Thank you, IHRS. IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Schedule a free evaluation and find out how to grow your hair back and keep the hair you have. Call 904-777-IHRS. Take the first step to restoring your hair today. Visit hairforme.com.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years.
Call now for a free in-person or virtual evaluation. 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL local sports update brought to you by Kuhn Flowers. The Florida Gators have punched their ticket to the men's NCAA basketball national championship game tonight after defeating the overall first-seeded Auburn Tigers Saturday night, 79-73. Halftime proved to be the turning point for Florida, going 50% from the field and going on an 11-0 run early to get back into the lead. Walter Clayton Jr. continued to make a big impact, scoring 34 points. Head coach Todd Golden postgame on how proud he was of his team.
Really proud to be here. Proud of our group for the way we performed last night and found a way to beat a great Auburn team. Thought we did a great job in the second half, raising the bar with our toughness, our physicality. Defended really, really well. Won the battle of the boards, which I thought was a big part of that victory. And obviously Walter and his teammates stepped up late, making big-time shots that allowed us to pull out this victory.
Gators and Cougars tonight tip off at 8:50. Hear the game live on 1010 AM, 92.5 FM. It's 80 degrees at 11 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, got some mocks to dig into. Somebody gave us a good name, Bo Jackson. Vincent is his actual name. I know where Bo came from. Probably a nickname as a kid.
You would think, yeah.
Something like that. But yes, you would think. Bo, though, seems like somebody's name.
Yeah.
Cadillac and Jackrabbit don't fit that necessarily.
Not
But
really,
anyway, yes, Bo Jackson, that's what anybody calls him, and has been for years. So another good one sent in right there. All right, before we get to some of this mock draft mania, I got a question for you, Tony, about what the Jags might do if they're, I'll say, stuck at 5 with some of the obvious people off the board. But first, let's take a look around the rest of the NFL.
Now, gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
The Tennessee Titans met with Shedeur Sanders' camp following his pro day workout on Friday, and they have canceled the previously scheduled private workout that was planned for Sanders with the Titans. The LA Chargers are signing quarterback Trey Lance on a one-year deal. The Las Vegas Raiders are releasing cornerback Jack Jones after reportedly trying to find a trade partner for him, but not being able to do so. 5-time Pro Bowl left tackle Teron Armstead is retiring after 12 seasons. Julio Jones announced his retirement over the weekend. Jones was selected as a Pro Bowler 7 times and All-Pro 5 times, including 2 first-team All-Pro selections and a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's All-Decades 2010s team. Jones finished his career 16th in receiving yards and 27th in receptions in NFL history.
All right, Armstead going out like 34 years old, something like that. Must be nice. Good for him to be able to go out on his own terms like that. Miami will be in the market, obviously, for a left tackle. Here,
I think Julio's one of those nickname guys.
Yeah, didn't we mention him? Julio's got Quintorius, yeah, something like that. So anyway, yeah, but again, Julio is a name. You know, it's not like Cadillac is a car. You know what I'm saying? You know, Jackrabbit is his nickname, but it's not the same as if he went by James.
Yeah,
you know. James Jenkins.
I go by Tony. My name's Anthony, but I go by Tony. That's like a common nickname for Anthony's.
It's not even a nickname to me. It's just the shortening of the name. Anyway, here the Jags are stuck at 5, let's say, right? Asking John who kind of a player out of left field might be. Okay. And he said, hey, I wouldn't write off any of those guys. In his opinion, if they feel like we've got all our holes plugged, which I don't know if they necessarily feel that way, but if that's where we are, like we could roll with what we have at the moment. Not that we couldn't draft a guy in the 3rd or 4th round. You can only get one guy at pick 5, right? So you can't fix everything. And he does not think there's a wide receiver there that's likely for them to take. Although it's interesting, I wonder where Ted McMillan is in the league's view. I'm looking at a mock just came out this morning that's got him going 6th to the Raiders, right? But when John says take the biggest difference maker, I forget exactly how he phrased it. You know, the guy with the most juice, you know, the star. Ashton Genty seems to fit that for me.
Certainly.
Very much so. But putting that aside, whether or not Mason Graham is on the board or not, let's say he's off the board to make it that much easier. Okay. John doesn't think they're going to go offensive line. Let's say Hunter's gone, Abdul Carter's gone, and Mason Graham are all gone. Whatever teams took them. Could we see a situation where they take a guy that right now we're looking at mock drafts and we'd be like, what in the world are they thinking with that spot? But they think that this guy is much better than the mocks indicate. Guy I'm thinking of specifically is Kenneth Grant of Michigan, right? I'm looking at this mock from CBS, has him going 13th to the Miami Dolphins. Now, when it lists him there, CBS's own rankings have him as the 33rd highest rated prospect, 5th best defensive tackle in the draft. Why would he be going 13th then? Well, those rankings get done by different people, and a lot of times those rankings get done early in the process, and then they're set, and they don't adjust them that much. And we did hear at one point that the Jags were enamored with Kenneth Grant.
Yep.
I don't know, if you can put that in the category of something being gospel, but here's what they said about Grant in the CBS mock. He's a really good athlete for his size, has a knack for getting his hands up in the passing lane, knocking the ball down, surprisingly quick first step, uses his hands well to shoot gaps, be a disruptive presence in the backfield. For me, he's a more explosive and consistent player than Chris Jenkins, his former teammate, and the Bengals' second-rounder last year. And I don't know if anyone would bat an eye if he went like 13th overall. Is there a player like that, Tony, do you think, that could be on the Jags' radar that we're not even talking about, at least not talking about with the 5th pick right now? Kind of the shocker pick.
Grant would make some sense.
I don't think Genty would be a shocker, to be a surprise, but he gets mocked one pick behind them all the time.
Right. We've talked about him enough that it wouldn't be that big of a shock.
And you can find people that have him ranked as a top 3 player overall in the draft. It's just the position he plays.
Yeah. Shocker kind of pick.
Would Kelvin Banks qualify if they thought he was the best offensive lineman?
Or like a Jahdae Barron.
Barron.
Like if they decided to go corner.
Or even Will Johnson at this point.
Yeah. Like if they went corner at 5, that would be off the beaten path, at least with the direction the conversation has gone.
By the way, in this mock, the same one as Ryan Wilson at CBS. He's one of the handful that we like over there. Pete's got one coming out on Wednesday, he told me. Barron goes 11th overall. Again, this is a guy. It's more about what we learn throughout the process, right? Like, you go back to when we started doing our Wednesday mock drafts, you can get Janae Barron at 36 all day long.
Right.
Right? And now he is seen by some as the top pure corner, not Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter's in his own category. Top pure corner in the draft by some, not everybody. Will Johnson, who knows? Because there's still questions about how fast the guy is.
Maybe, and this is way off the radar because I had never even thought about this name attached to but Michael Williams.
Out of Georgia.
Yeah. Like if they just went with the thing with Jalen Walker is that he can be a stand-up linebacker for you and kind of the third edge.
Yes.
Like do those different things. Michael Williams is an edge.
Right.
Like
and do they think he's a better pure edge than Walker would be, a better pass rusher than Walker would be?
It would be off of anything that I think we've considered. That would be way out in left field to me if they went that direction. But
listen to this statement that they made on this is saying something. You would say Georgia has put in as much high caliber NFL talent as anybody in recent years, right? A handful of teams that are probably in the same bucket. They love that word now. Bucket. This is what they said at CBS about Michael Williams. Georgia has a history of producing insane athletes. And Williams might end up being the best of the group.
Woof.
That's saying a lot.
I saw comparisons with Trayvon.
Right. He's a first-round talent all day long.
Yeah.
He could end up being one of the first defenders off the board in April. That's a good one, right? If you're thinking outside the box. I don't think Tyler Warren, I think there's been enough talk about it that it wouldn't be as surprising.
No.
You'd be like, okay, I can see it. It's been mentioned a time or two. What about Tyler Booker, just as a pure guard? I mean, it's not as valuable as a tackle, but many people think that this guy is just simply going to be great at what he does, which is physically dominating the man across from him.
Sure. The other, again, this is way, way, way too high to have any of these conversations about these guys, but a Malachi Starks, right? Like if they considered safety that big of a need, that kind of thing. I don't.
At one point, Starks was being talked about as a top 7 or 8 player in this draft. Not necessarily by the Jags, but just as a general ranking by some folks.
But thinking through the off the beaten path kind of guys, that would be at the bottom of my list. Obviously behind Williams would be.
What about Shamar Stewart? Would that shock you at 5?
Yes.
I would be mad.
I'd be stunned if they went with Shamar Stewart at 5. Part of the reason being, to me...
Did you see the write-up that ESPN did about, the process this weekend with that stuff?
About Stewart?
Stewart was what they circled around, but it was basically this idea that we kick around from time to time here where the traits versus stats and how do teams deal with trying to decipher between those two things when they're getting ready for a draft. And Stewart was the guy that they circled the whole conversation around. And
he's the poster child for it this year.
Right. And Stewart, his comments, at the combine and the different things he said, it's like I was so close to a bunch of different stats and then blah, 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 like that kind of thing. And they had somebody, they didn't put a name to it. It was just an anonymous guy who used to work defensive line in the NFL and was asked about how do you deal with players like this, the eval versus the stats. And the coach basically said, give me the traits. I'll figure out what to do with it. And I was like, that matches what my vision is on these guys.
A lot of people think that way.
It's why a guy like Stewart could wind up wherever he's going to wind up. It's not going to be the numbers, but there are, the stats that aren't the counting stats, right? Like the sacks. He doesn't have a lot of that, but he's got a lot of the kind of other measurable stuff. Like his pressure win rate was high. How quickly he did it was high. There are these other things that he's really high on the list, like ahead of Abdul Carter on some of these lists as far as those kind of pressure numbers, but he doesn't have the sacks to show with it.
In this mock by Ryan Wilson, Shamar Stewart went 29th in the draft. That's probably the lowest I've seen him in a while, actually. And again, for folks who don't know, out of Texas A&M, he's got if you're pouring the mold on what you want your defensive end to look like, it might be this guy.
Yeah.
But where's the production? All right, so you're going to tell me after 3 consecutive years in which each year you posted 1.5 sacks, all of a sudden when you go against higher level competition, that's going to bring out the numbers from you. I mean, 29, okay, right? He's there at 36. Jags trade back into the end of the first round. Fine. Fifth overall, I would not be pleased. All right, I got the name for you.
Okay.
On this. We'll take a break and we'll come back. I got the one who might honestly be, when you think about it, you go, you know what? That might make some sense. And I'm risking making sense here.
Okay.
There's a possibility I could make some sense. We come back on the other side. Let's dig a little deeper into these mocks as well. But a player that when you think about it, you say initially you're going to say no way, and then you're going to go maybe. Well, wait a minute, that makes some sense. I could see that. I got that guy for number 5 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. By the way, I'm not predicting that's who they're going to take.
No,
just fitting in the category of a little bit of outside the box, could shock us, but when you think about it, you can go, okay, that lines up a little bit. All right, we'll take a timeout, come back with more Jaguar discussion. 2.5 weeks out from this year's NFL draft. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. I tell you all the time, I cannot give you a greater endorsement than the fact that I use a company's product. And when I use them in my own home, that's at the top of the list. Pella Windows and Doors. I replaced all my windows in my house, including my sliding glass door. The house looks better. Resale value's up. Energy efficiency is through the roof. Consumer Reports will tell you that Pella is the number one company in all the major window categories. I'll tell you myself from personal experience, I couldn't be happier. Go online to PellaJacks.com or stop by Pella Showroom on Phillips Highway. That's Pella Windows and Doors.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
I love you, man. I love you, man. Appreciate you, man. You good luck.
Jacksonville Sports Superstation.
Guys, want a golf course fairway quality lawn? Topdressing.com just landed in Jacksonville with the golf course secret for St. Augustine grass homeowners. A patented process that aerates and turns your turf into a fairway stunner. Serious golf course technology, but in your yard. Less water, tighter cuts, total neighborhood domination. No one else scores a perfect 10 lawn. Hit topdressing.com now. You will own the block. Top dress your yard like the pros with topdressing.com.
If you've been in an auto accident, you can count on the experts at San Jose Collision to return your vehicle to pre-accident conditions. San Jose Collision can also provide a fresh paint job to freshen up your vehicle or completely change its appearance. They can paint and repair all foreign and domestic cars and trucks. When quality and professionalism are important to you, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Got a cracked windshield? Not only is it dangerous, but did you know it's also illegal? Call Baker Glass. Mack and his crew use the best auto glass in the market, and they accept most insurance. Plus, all new windshields come with a full warranty. From cars, to trucks, to RVs, you can count on Baker Glass to be fast and friendly. Just check out their Google reviews. Come see us at the shop on Casta Avenue, or we can come to you at your home or business.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Dreamfinders Homes, Monday.
On Jaguars Today.
Plumbing problem? AC acting up? Septic tank trouble? Don't waste time calling 3 different companies. Just call Duck Duck Rooter. We offer plumbing, septic, and air conditioning services, making it easy for you to work with one trusted company and one simple build. Every department has highly skilled experts trained for the job. For fast, reliable service from a company that does it all the right way, call 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com.
The housing market is as busy as ever on the First Coast, and if you've moved in or moved on, make sure you have a team of trained electricians ready to help. American Electrical can make sure you're up to date electrically and maximize your living experience. Smart home automation services, home theater systems, outdoor and dock lighting, and backup generators. American Electrical can do it all. A team you can trust with highly trained technicians ensuring you have the best living experience. American-Electrical.com, a leader on the First Coast and powered by professionalism.
Hello, sports fans. Hicken here. Let's talk skin. Iron Beach's Dermatology are reminding you to wear your sunscreen. If you're an active parent hanging at the fields, in your boat to fish, or like to chill at the sandbar, wear sunscreen. But if you're the one that decided for years it's not cool, guess what? Cancer isn't cool either. So when grabbing the clubs for your tea time, gassing up the boat, or grabbing the chairs for your kids' games, make sure you bring the screen. Any concerns now? Give Beaches Dermatology a call online at beachesdermatology.com.
Give us your hot take.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
On the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
Be part of the conversation. 641-1010.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. There was a time when if you handed me a bread basket at a restaurant, you better watch your fingers. Pizza, pasta, bread. Carbs were absolutely my weakness. I'd be lying if I said they didn't have me hooked. Then Awaken 180 came into my life. I've been down every diet road there is, but this is different. It's not just another diet. It's a total reset of how you see food. You know that carb craving that we all accepted as normal? That's gone for me now. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoy the good stuff, but here's the difference. I no longer feel like I need them. So when the server puts that bread basket on the table, I just smile, sit back, and say, nah, I'm good. That feeling of control is all thanks to Awaken 180. I lost 40 pounds in 9 weeks on Awaken 180. Hacker lost more than 110. Baloo is on his way, and you can lose whatever you want to lose. It doesn't matter what your goal weight is. Awaken 180 weight loss will get you there quickly and safely. It's a clear path to success without disappointment. Awaken 180 has changed my life, and it will change yours too. Give them a call at 844-346-1800 or go to awaken180weightloss.com. Trust me, you'll thank yourself.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. Now's the perfect time to order logo coffee mugs or maybe a logoed Sick brand tumbler. They're seriously ice cold and look great with your company logo. Hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
David here with Royal Pest Services. Man, don't let your yard be torn up by that heavy aeration machine this spring. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to learn more about our granular aeration. Broadcast throughout the tree and shrubs to break up that compacted soil. Visit RoyalPestServices.com.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Love this one. Love this choice by Dylan Denmark on Jaguars Today this morning. Any thoughts for the Tuesday top 5, Tone, or is this going to be one I pull out of my anatomy at some point later today? What do you got, Dylan?
Tuesday top 5. The 5 guys you do not want the Jaguars to take in the draft.
Ooh.
Anywhere,
not
just the first round.
I forgot what the idea was, but I knew you had mentioned that you had one last week.
Was that it?
Yeah.
5 guys you don't want him to take at any point in the draft or at number 5? I guess it would be at any point. Right?
Yeah.
There's plenty of guys you wouldn't want him to take at number 5.
Yeah.
You still might want him to take him. I guess it would be too like I don't want to take Shamar Stewart because where he's going to have to come off the board, that's too much risk for me. But if I got him at pick 70, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
The old proverbial, running the card up to the table would be in full effect there. So
sure.
All right, I will do some spin-off of that for the Tuesday top 5. All right, Tone, here's the guy that I think, and again, I don't think the Jags are taking this guy, but in terms of, okay, well, I can see where you're coming from. Like we sit there and we talk about Mason Graham a lot, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And we think, is that the type of defensive tackle they need, right? That's an argument I've made. They at least have more options at 3 techniques. Short-term, Eric Armstead, possibly long-term, Mason Smith. And that's why Kenneth Grant and some of these other guys, we talk about Alfred Collins maybe available in the 3rd round, that big run stuffer type, right? And so seeing Mason Graham being that type go at 5 may be a little rich for your blood. The guy that I think is climbing a lot of these mock drafts right now is Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
What if the Jags simply are on that 3 technique train, but think that this guy's better than Mason Graham? I don't know that would be the case, and I know that sacks are not the only arbiter of this, but I do know that Walter Nolan had as many sacks last year playing in the SEC as Mason Graham's had for the last 2 years combined.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about improving that push up front. Is that crazy to you? Like, I wouldn't expect that to be the name called, but at least if you're conditioned to think Mason Graham could be the 5th pick, it's in part because everyone's telling you he's the top-rated defensive tackle on the board. What if he's not on their board?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Does that make any sense to you at all, Walter Nolan?
Hadn't really considered it.
That's why it's good for this topic.
So, thinking through it, compared to, obviously, yeah, like I've seen the comparisons with Nolan to like an Ed Oliver.
Okay.
Right? Like type, like that kind of thing. And, I was a big fan of Oliver when he was coming out. I still am. I'm a big fan of Oliver. So it would make some sense to me. Like if they just have him graded a little bit higher and he is bigger, right, than Mason.
Is he? I mean, that's the hard thing to know anymore with these measurements, right? Mason Graham was listed at 326, then he was 296 at the combine, and then his pro day he was back up to like 306.
Yeah.
So I don't know what his playing weight's going to be. Walter Nolan's listed as like 300 pounds. I don't know if he's 320, if he's 290. I have no idea.
Right.
In reality.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could get around to it.
I'm not
I'm okay.
I'm
they're
not sitting
going to
here
evaluate.
Going, watch. This is going to happen.
No,
That's
they're
not
going to
it at all.
evaluate the guys, and if they feel like he's the better player, then okay.
I just feel like if we're so conditioned to believe, all right, the Jags need help on the defensive line, and they do, right? That doesn't mean they have to get it at 5. And that we're looking at Mason Graham, and maybe it's because people think Mason Graham is that exceptional a player. I'm just looking at the production from Walter Nolan in a pretty tough conference, and it was pretty damn good for a defensive tackle. And I see him mocked not infrequently at number 11 to San Francisco. Right now, there are times you see Walter Nolan fall out of the first round in some of these mock drafts. But mock drafts are what they are.
Yeah.
They don't, they're just somebody's opinion and trying to read the tea leaves as much as possible.
Yeah, it's harder to get to because you don't see him being mocked ahead of Graham basically ever. Right? So it's hard doing it in your head of if Mason's off the board, what could come into play? Right, for the football team, it would be hard for me to get there with Nolan over Graham if both players were available. That would be...
but is that because we've been told that Graham is clearly the best tackle prospect?
Certainly has an effect.
You know what I mean? Like, you and I are not sitting there. I don't think you are. I know I'm not sitting there on the weekend looking at Walter Nolan versus Mason Graham highlights.
It goes to a Walker Hutchinson thing. That's fine. You better be right.
Absolutely.
Right? Like one of those kind of things when you're gonna take a player that isn't being talked about that way throughout the entirety of the discussion. I'm not saying that they're wrong, and I'm not going to react like they're obviously wrong on this and I don't get it. They better be right, because we all are going to do the same kind of thing. Wherever Graham would happen to land in that situation,
you
the
could add
whole
him.
time.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
So,
and that, by the way, that doesn't mean
it's not an argument not to do it.
Right. I mean, you don't take it, but you're absolutely right. The initial critique, except for maybe Dave Weidel, would not be nearly as harsh. All right, they took Mason Graham. You're eating your vegetables. It's not a sexy pick necessarily, but it's a solid pick. It's an expectation. Here's what CBS said about Walter Nolan. This defensive line class incredibly deep, and in previous years, no one probably goes off the board a little higher. Either way, he explodes off the ball. He's strong as an ox, 6'4", 300. He's not going to be mistaken for, say, Dexter Lawrence. That's not the type of defensive tackle you're trying to draft. Don't be fooled. He can play stout against double teams. He's quick to get off blocks and get to the football. They rank him actually as the second highest defensive tackle in the class, even though they have Kenneth Grant projected ahead of him to go in the draft. And I think, 17th overall player in the first round. Again, I have to make this explicitly clear. I'm not suggesting that Walter Nolan will be better. I'm just saying that we're all thinking of this mindset, and maybe they are too, but maybe they're not. They're not even bringing in guys for visits. We don't know who they're honing in on at this point in time.
It was funny. I did a mock draft up in Pennsylvania somewhere last week, and they were asking me, who are the Jags circling around? I was like, I don't know. Like, we have
Travis
ideas about, some of the players we think that they might prefer, but no, they're not doing the top 30 visits. It's hard to circle the Jags and anyone directly, right, in this draft because they've chosen not to play the game that way this year, and that's fine. So it makes it more of a you're going in the dark for a lot of this, but they're picking at 5, so you have a general idea of who have an idea of who the top 8 to 10 players in the draft are, and odds are Jags are getting one of those.
Right, at least what the consensus group of 4 or 5 players are there.
Yeah.
By the way, just quickly, Ryan Wilson's mock, he had Mason Graham going to the Jags at 5. He had Emeka Egbuka going to the Jags at 36, falling to then.
Please let that happen.
Okay, what if Will Johnson's on the board as he is in this mock, and he goes 40th? That'd be interesting.
I'd still prefer Egbuka, but I get it.
It'd be interesting at least, right, to see how that all played out. There's a familiar name, Jack Sawyer, that for some reason has fallen in the mock draft simulators, but not in reality, I don't think. At 70, you had him going Jonas Sanker, safety out of Virginia. I've mocked him to the Jags a few times. I think he'd be a decent fit. And then Cameron Williams, who is just a big old boy offensive lineman from Texas. That would be, you would think, a starter, not necessarily in year 1 or day 1, but down the line. Is only a 3-round mock, so that's what he had him doing. Interesting here, he had Besh going 1 pick ahead out of TCU, the wide receiver Jack Besh going to the Packers at 87. Of course, in this mock, Jags already took Egbuka. If you knew you could get Besh at 70, would you still want Egbuka at 36? That's it. You don't know. But I'm just talking about kind of the hypothetical in hindsight kind of thing. I might just wait on Besh and go for a corner.
I prefer Egbuka. I do.
I do too on a 1-to-1.
Yeah.
But the combo of, like, would you rather have like a Will Johnson and Besh, or would you rather have Egbuka and Jonas Sanker? Because I think there are a lot of safeties in that 3rd, 4th round range that could fit what the Jags are looking for here. So, anyway, something to think about. We'll take a time out here. Let's come back and check out today's Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. Just simple poll. Are you in favor of the proposal to reseed the NFL playoffs or seed them simply based on record? You'd still get in as a division champ, but you wouldn't be guaranteed a home game. Yes, you're in favor of that. No, let's keep the status quo, or maybe you're not sure. We'll check in on the poll results when we return in a moment. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Food. Start your week off right. Good attitude, good mental focus. You know what? That comes with quality food in your belly. You got to have that fuel to get you through the day. And Dandy is nothing but quality, man. The highest quality ingredients. That is the standard that they have adhered to ever since they came into being about 70 years ago as a Jacksonville-based company. They're going to locally source those ingredients as often as possible and combine them to create just a wide variety of food options for you on the go. Whether you want full breakfast, they've got everything you can imagine. French toast and on and on and on. The classic line of sandwiches and subs, protein packs, veggie trays, fruit cups, some quick pick-me-ups as you're driving around Duval. But look, I'll always be partial to my favorite tuna salad from Dandy. Go find your favorite. Swing into a Gate station, head to the Fresh Case, and marvel over all the options that Dandy presents to you. When you're hungry, do what I do. Go out and make yours a Dandy and do it today.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. There are many ways to experience 1010XL.
The key to this whole thing is their computer.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
Get me that computer program. Yes, sir.
At 1010XL.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Ideal Conditions Heating and Air Conditioning is your go-to for all AC repairs and replacements. Just ask your AC. For exceptional service, call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjax.com to schedule your estimate today.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjax.com.
This is the Mangler. Years of playing football coupled with lifestyle left my feet mangled with neuropathy.
I was experiencing burning, tingling, and numbness. I spoke with 2 foot specialists, and they told me there was no cure. They were wrong. I found Dr. Nate Riddle in Ponte Vedra. After utilizing his neuropathy treatment for only 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in my feet. I was regaining my feeling and balance. If you want relief from nerve pain, call Dr. Nate for a free consultation at Riddle Wellness, 904-395-5598.
Enhance your home with Renewal by Anderson's superior craftsmanship and timeless design. Right now, get $300 off all windows or $825 off patio doors. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months, but this offer expires April 30th. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
Jaguars Today Monday is built by Dream Finders Homes.
Official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
As a Florida homeowner, you're no stranger to mosquito problems. And although it's tempting to use DIY methods to get rid of them, mosquitoes are relentless. That's why it's important to enlist the help of the mosquito experts at Florida Pest Control. At Florida Pest Control, we offer specialized treatment solutions that are effective against mosquito infestations and are committed to keeping our customers protected year-round. For your free quote, give us a call or visit flapest.com today. Florida Pest Control, your local mosquito control experts.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Charles.
6.
Oh, so close. Betty for the steal.
What about the bank that helps you reach your financial goals? Synovus.
Let's see, judges. Yes, looks like we have a winner.
That's a number?
Sorry, Charlie. Remember, a solid financial future doesn't happen by chance. Talk with Synovus about your potential today. Brought to you by Synovus Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. The number was 4.
When was the first cruise ship voyage?
Southern Oak Insurance is proud to continue offering coverage statewide. Financial stability makes Southern Oak Insurance a wise choice for your homeowner's insurance needs. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The first cruise voyage was on the Princess and Victoria Louise, which set sail on her maiden voyage in January of 1901.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Your chance to play in the Masters is coming.
Let the big dog eat.
Okay. With 1010XL's You Pick 'em contest.
Win $1,000 of jewelry from Beard's Diamonds. Teed up by Pella Windows and Doors. Go to 1010XL.com now.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you become more active, reach your weight loss goals, and find your inner strength. Membership at the Y includes state-of-the-art facilities, a huge variety of fitness classes, and programs for all ages. It's easy to join the Y since it's affordable for all incomes. The Y is a great place to make connections and experience something new. Visit the YMCA near you or online at fcymca.org.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Enjoy a great day of golf and support Eagles View Academy Athletics. Friday, May 2nd at the newly renovated Bent Creek Golf Course. 8:30 shotgun start, best ball format. Find out more at EVAWarriorsathletics.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
All right, just swinging this one into the garage today, 2.5 weeks out from the NFL draft. Of course, so you'll hear plenty of coverage of the NCAA Men's Championship game throughout the course of the afternoon tonight, and you'll get the Gators and the Cougars going at it head-to-head on both 1010 on the AM and 92.5 on the FM. So Hacker in on the Frangie Show with Hayes Carline today, Rick Ballou, and then leading right into pregame for the national championship tonight. Where are you taking the game in, Denmark?
My crib.
Oh, just hang by yourself? Or?
Yeah, I'll be by myself, and then Graham and I will do a post-game pod, regardless, win or lose.
I gotcha. All right. I'll tune in if they lose. Just to see what the mood is around the way. All right, let's get to today's Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. And we asked you, and let me see how I put it. How would you feel about a proposal to seed the NFL playoffs based on team one-loss record? In other words, division champs still make the playoffs but would not be guaranteed a home game. So you'd have same group of 7 teams in each conference getting in, but they'd be seeded strictly on how many wins they had. So the top 2 seeds could come from the same division, much like last year you could have had Detroit and Minnesota ending up. Which is interesting because in that scenario, Detroit won, and I guess they felt like if we had lost, it is what it is. How many years are you going to have those 2 teams with 14 wins in the same division? Yeah. Doesn't seem like a major concern to me. Why don't we fire up today's 10-10 take? Dylan?
10-10.
10-10 take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran-owned and operated.
All right, this, Tony, I'm not surprised at the results. I could have seen this going 90-10, in fact. The fact that we're asking this primarily to a group of Jaguar fans, they'd rather keep the status quo because you feel like right now the Jags are not one of the top teams in the NFL, but they have a chance to compete for their division.
Yeah,
and that's your path to a home playoff game, right? And again, to me, if you're going to do that, if you're going to say divisions are important, and okay, yes, it would get you into the playoffs, but then once you take away that home game, it's almost like, okay, but then why do they guarantee you a spot in the playoffs? And they're talking about also as a compromise, a team with a losing record could not host a first-round game. How often does this even happen, that a team with a losing record wins the division to the point that we need to cement this in the rule book,
right?
That they can't have it? To me, this is like the rich getting richer. And, for the Jags, maybe one day we'll get back to the heights of the late 90s. But until and unless we do, the way to guarantee, or at least the way to guarantee that you'd have a home game is to go out and win your division. Otherwise, why do we have divisions?
That's the whole thing. If they're going to go with this kind of idea, I think it's time to get rid of divisions. You go to an 18-game schedule, you play the other 15 teams in your conference once a season, and you play 3 teams from the other conference. That's it.
Yeah.
That's your schedule.
And that would be randomly.
Right. Well, I would say you could figure out some way to do it. Since you do have, the 16 teams in each, you would have, this is what you won last year. So you play the team from the other conference that finished in the same spot you did for sure.
3 out of the 4
every
conferences.
Year. Yeah. And
or
then
divisions.
I'm saying not even divisions.
Okay,
I'm saying they're all
I get
gone.
What you're saying.
You only have the 16 teams. 15 of the 18 would be you play each team in the AFC once. Right, so that's 15 of your 18 games on the schedule. You play the team that finished in the same position as you the year before from the NFC. From a Jaguars perspective, that would be game 16. And then 17, 18, you rotate them. So you're at least going to see every team in the conference once every 6-7 years, whatever it's going to be, that kind of thing. So you would still have every team potentially on your schedule. Every once.
Right, not necessarily at home, but.
Right, but that's the only way this kind of idea makes sense is if in the long run they're thinking about just getting rid of divisions in totality, which I don't know what that does for, I don't know how big a deal rivalry they look at it in the NFL.
I think rivalries are huge.
I do too. I don't know how much they respect the rivalry aspect of any of this. And if they're looking at it as, well, if we're going to go to 18 games, maybe they are considering something like that, where they are looking long run, we want to get rid of divisions. And
I think that is so short-sighted, man.
I do too.
I mean, we're talking, and again, the reason this is coming up, I can understand, all right, if you're a team and it's affected by something, you bring up a proposal. But we're finding out that the league asked Detroit to bring this proposal up, because they agree with that sentiment. They had expressed some sentiment after the game, like just in some public comments, like, hey, man, this would have really stunk had we lost this game after having the best record all year, and all of a sudden we don't even have a home game.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would have stunk, but that's kind of what makes the rivalry great. And their counterpoint is, well, you'd have every game would have more of an impact on seeding. You wouldn't say, well, this guy's locked into the 3 seed because he's winning the division. And I get that. There would be some of that late in the season.
Sure.
Does late season NFL lack for drama?
No.
I mean, I feel like they think if every single game isn't the biggest thing that ever came down the line, well, clearly it's not. It's the brand, the NFL brand.
Right. And it's not like when you do have the rare exception where a team that's going to win the division finishes at 500 or just below. Like on the rare occasions where that's going on, generally, when those teams are going in the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season, it is chaos. In whatever division that's in, right? Like they are fighting tooth and nail. The home game is a big deal, obviously, for these teams and these cities and the fan bases in these spots. I don't understand. If you're going to keep the current system they have, I don't understand the rationale for doing it the way they're talking about it.
I don't either. 74% agree with that. Just a handful weren't sure. About 20%, 22% said no. Let's change it to seed by records. So that's where things stand right now. For the Jaguars Today, Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. Got time to look through Chad Ryder's selections. He did a 5-round mock, which is a little strange to me. Like, knock out the full 7, Chad, if you're going to go that deep. But he goes Mason Graham with the first pick for the Jaguars. Okay. Interestingly enough, Quinn Ewers goes 35th here. Seattle trades up to that spot to take Quinn Ewers, quarterback. So I don't have it up in front of me because I just clicked off it. Let me see how many quarterbacks went in round 1 in this. Obviously, you had
I think it was 3.
Was it 3? Who was the Jackson Dart being the 3rd?
Yeah.
Then Ewers was the 4th one in this, or did Shuck come off the board somewhere that I didn't notice? Anyway, I didn't notice him. So let's just go with this. They had the Jags taking Maxwell Hairston, the cornerback out of Kentucky. Next 3 picks, Tony. Luther Burden out of Missouri. Josh Simmons, who some think might be the best offensive lineman in this draft if he didn't have injury concerns. And Kenneth Grant. Gray Zabel going at 40. I might take anyone. I might throw those 4 names in a bag and pull it out. But they got him going Maxwell Hairston. Not that they don't need cornerback help. 3rd round in this 5-round mock at pick 70. Jags go Jaden Higgins, the Iowa State wide receiver, who I think is a nice fit here. And that's about the range you expect him to come off these days. Pick 88, Terrence Ferguson. So that's another guy. I feel like when doing these mocks, Tony, he's like the last of the 2-way tight ends that you feel like does a little bit of everything for you. So I like that selection. Miami edge rusher Tyler Barron with pick 107. So getting a little pass rush depth there. Moving through the 4th round, 126. Clay Webb, the guard out of Jacksonville State. We've definitely mocked him to the Jags on occasion along the way. And then finally, 5th round selection for Jacksonville in this. I got to scroll down there. It's Billy Bowman. But Bowman's a little undersized. Like he's like 5'10". Man, his film looks good. Now, a lot of it's highlight stuff, but I've seen a highlight package of his, watched his combine workout. A couple of years ago, he had 3 pick 6s, which led the country. He's an interesting player. I wouldn't totally hate this draft if it went this way, but I'd probably pivot there with that 36th overall selection. All right, we won't have to wait long to find out. About 2.5 weeks, and this whole thing will have some finality to it. But before we get there, a lot of other stuff to get to, including tonight's championship game. So let's welcome in Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
LB, Lauren Brooks, how are you?
I am nervous, thank you. I'm excited, but yes.
You're nervous because the noted college basketball expert me picked Houston to win in my bracket. Is that what makes you nervous?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have no idea. I actually watching the teams. I don't think Houston. I could see Houston losing this by double figures.
Really?
Yes, I could.
Interesting. Well,
I don't know if they've got the offense. It's better than it's been in years past.
Yeah, they have certainly at least one guy that can really shoot. But yeah, my dad landed last night, so he gets to go to the national championship game tonight. So I'm excited for him. But yeah, woke up at 6 a.m. already nervous. I'm going to be nervous until the end of this game tonight, and that's just how it goes. But I think it could be I could go the opposite way. I think it could be an instant classic, just the way these two teams have been winning games.
Well, it could be. I don't know what's going to happen. I just have that kind of feeling. Like
I hope you're right.
I told the guys when I didn't even remember the game was on Saturday, right? And I turned it on, and it was halftime, and they're down 8, and I'm like, I really thought about hopping on Hard Rock Bet and throwing $50 down on the money line because the odds would have been, in their favor to make some cash.
What you missed was Auburn couldn't miss in the first half. And as you watch games, obviously, usually second half is not going to go the same way. You're not going to have a team shoot as well as they did. And so, certainly Walter Clayton Jr., if you don't know that name by now, then you haven't been listening to the radio station or watching basketball.
I have not watched much Auburn basketball, read none this year. But that big Gunter that they got in there who's afraid to shoot from 5 feet, who's like 8 feet tall. Like
Janai Broom.
What do we know? No, not him. He'll shoot. The Caldwell or whatever his name is. Big stiff in there. And he shoots free throws like he's never seen a basketball before, so.
I took those missed free throws. I was very happy. Normally, we watch games at home because I'm a crazy person, right? And we ended up going to a place near us for a friend's birthday. And so it was really fun to be with other fans when it happened. But certainly, like you said, at halftime, I was like, this is a terrible idea. We should have been at home.
Right? All right. So what's coming up today on the heels?
Well, one Frank Frangie is in San Antonio. He will join us at 12:20. And also Paul Biancardi, who is a former basketball coach and now works for ESPN, will also join us to break down this Florida-Houston basketball game that comes up at 1 o'clock, and also Mia's Mock Draft 2.0. We got to get to that. I thought John Oehser had some really interesting things to say on y'all's show. By the way, my nickname when I was little was Fish, since you had that conversation. Yep.
You were a swimmer.
I was a swimmer, yeah.
Doc, Fish,
Jump,
Sleepy, Dopey. I don't know. We'll go with. All right, have a great show.
Thank you so much.
Bad luck tonight. All right, there you go. And I have to be honest about things. All right, that'll do it for us today. Tuesday Top 5. 5 guys that you think the Jags could draft. They absolutely do not want them to. Like, obviously, that eliminates most of the quarterbacks, right? Like, I had no way I want them to draft Shedeur Sanders. Well, they're not going to.
Agreed.
So you don't have an issue with that, right? So anybody you think could be on the Jags' radar at any pick throughout the draft that you just feel like it's not a good fit for whatever reason, they're overhyped, whatever the case may be, that's what we'll dig into with the Tuesday Top 5 tomorrow. That'll do it for us. For Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. Hope you get the outcome you want tonight, particularly if it's the Cougars hoisting the national championship trophy, all right? Only because I picked them in my bracket. All right, that's going to do it for us today. More Jaguars Today tomorrow from 10 to noon here on 1010XL 92.